Welcome back to the Command Center briefing for Day 3. Today, we're jumping right into the absolute foundational pillar of the CIA Triad in cybersecurity, and that is confidentiality. If you're designing or protecting systems, confidentiality is all about making sure sensitive information is only accessible to authorized individuals. We're keeping it completely locked down from unauthorized users. It's basically the bedrock of digital trust.
Now, before we break down the theory, consider this pretty alarming threat intelligence from the 2025 Identity Theft Research Center report. 3,322. That number right there represents the all-time high record for data compromises just in the past year alone. I mean, that's a massive 79% jump over the last 5 years. We aren't just dealing with simple identity theft anymore. We're living in this environment of persistent, automated cyber risk, where attackers are constantly trying to breach our walls.
So, what exactly are we trying to protect here? Well, according to the official NIST framework, confidentiality is defined as, and I quote, preserving authorized restrictions on information access and disclosure. But what does that actually mean in practice? Essentially, it's the strict enforcement of access. Whether we're talking about your personal medical records, your banking details, or a company's closely guarded trade secrets, confidentiality ensures that this sensitive data remains completely hidden from absolutely anyone who shouldn't see it. But what happens when those restrictions fail? The damage is honestly catastrophic. Cybercriminals are actually shifting away from those massive mega breaches we used to see, and now they're executing highly targeted attacks on really high-value data. Just this past year alone, these targeted attacks claimed over 278 million victims. 278 million? It's a staggering number, and it clearly shows us that threat actors are getting so much more effective at surgically extracting the exact data they want.
And this economic ripple effect proves that cyber risk just isn't an IT problem anymore, right? It's a macroeconomic problem. Just look at this number, 40%. That is the percentage of breached small businesses that were literally forced to raise prices on their goods and services just to cover the cost of remediation and recovery. So we're essentially looking at a national inflationary issue here. It's almost like a cyber tax that gets passed directly onto you and me at the checkout counter, all because of failed confidentiality.
But beyond that financial drain, the psychological toll is frankly severe. A staggering 67% of victims reported extreme emotional distress after their personal data was exposed, and some even considered self-harm. It's awful, because when confidentiality is compromised, it just completely shatters a person's sense of privacy and basic safety. Moving on to shields up tactical security controls. To prevent this kind of devastation and really lock down our perimeters, cybersecurity professionals can't just cross their fingers and hope for the best. They deploy a highly tactical array of security controls to guarantee that only the right people see the right data.
So our very first line of defense is encryption. Encryption mathematically transforms intelligible plain text data into unintelligible ciphertext, and there are two main cryptographic approaches here. First, symmetric encryption. This uses the exact same secret key to both encrypt and decrypt the data. It's incredibly fast, super efficient. Then you have asymmetric encryption, which uses a mathematically linked key pair. So you have one public key to encrypt the data and a completely different, closely guarded private key to decrypt it. And actually, modern security systems will very often combine both of these just to achieve maximum security and performance.
But here's the thing. Encryption alone just isn't enough. We have to reinforce it with multi-layered access protocols. The really crucial point here is building what we call a zero-trust environment. We do this by using multi-factor authentication, so requiring way more than just some vulnerable reused password to log in. We also rely on access control lists to strictly regulate who can actually view specific network resources. And, of course, we rigorously enforce the principle of least privilege. This basically means users only get the exact level of access they need to do their specific jobs, and absolutely nothing more. Which brings us to human error, real-world failures. Because here is the harsh reality of all this. We can build the most impenetrable digital vaults in the entire world, right? We can have the most advanced encryption, the absolute strictest access controls, but all of that can be instantly compromised by everyday human error on the inside.
Let's just look at some of our daily vulnerabilities. In fast-paced sectors, like healthcare, for example, simple mistakes frequently shatter confidentiality. On the digital side, maybe it's a nurse accidentally emailing private lab results to the wrong patient just because they had a similar name, or an employee losing an unencrypted laptop, or even someone sharing a seemingly innocent selfie of their shift on social media, but oops, it happens to show patient details in the background. And then on the physical side,
It's throwing printed medical records into a regular dumpster instead of a shredder, or just casually discussing a patient's surgery in a crowded public elevator. Remember, confidentiality doesn't pause just because you're on a coffee break. Because of all this, constant data analysis is completely non-negotiable. Every single interaction with sensitive information requires strict accountability. Preserving confidentiality is a nonstop 24/7 battle. And it's a battle against both advanced threat actors on the outside and our own internal complacency on the inside. Now, defenders do still win more fights with attackers than they lose, but man, it requires continuous monitoring, relentless training, and cultivating a culture of absolute security.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want you to take a hard look at your own daily digital habits. A little process friction, like taking the extra 2 seconds to use a passkey, or just double-checking an email address before hitting send. That might be the only difference between staying secure and becoming part of next year's breach statistics. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Is your demand for speed and digital convenience costing you your confidentiality? Really think about it. Thanks for learning with me today, and stay secure.